Yesterday, we began to look at how God the Holy Spirit will guide his children into the center of God's will through the desires of their heart. Philippians chapter 2, verse 13 says, "For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him." You see, God has some desires that he wants to do for you and through you, things that would please him. And when his children yield themselves to him and seek his face in prayer and in his word, then God the Holy Spirit works on us and creates in us the desires of God that he has for us. Now, unfortunately, many of God's children really just don't believe this. Many of us have this attitude that if there's something that I would really love to do, couldn't possibly be God's will. In fact, many people live as though that if you could think of the thing that you would hate to do more than anything else, then that's probably God's will for you. But nothing could be further from the truth. Suppose that you have a decision that you need to make. And let's say that you really want to do God's will and you're seeking God's will. But you find an option number one. And option number one is something you would just hate to do. You would dread every minute of it. Option number two is something that, well, you could do it. It might be good, but you really wouldn't be excited about it. You could sacrifice and do it. But option number three, now that's something you would be so excited about you'd lay awake at night thinking about it. Many Christians assume that option number one, what they would hate to do, is what God's will is for them. Others might think, well, it might not be what I hate, but it's not really something I'm going to be excited about. I would have to sacrifice for it. But I believe that the Bible teaches that option number three, if you're seeking God and you're yielded to his will, I believe it's something that you'll be excited about. You may say, well, how can you say that? To which I would say, I didn't say it. Jesus did. In John chapter 15, verse 7, Jesus says, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want and it will be granted you. How can he say that? Because he knows if you'll yield to him, you'll spend time with him, that he will change the desires of your heart into his desires and then bring it to pass.